Tell us where you're from and about your hometown.
I'm from Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and it's actually the hometown of Justin Bieber, so if you know where that is, you can try to put it on a map.
Why did you first start playing hockey?
Just being from Canada, that's what everybody kind of does. That's what my family has always done. I just grew up on skates pretty much.
Who's been your biggest influence in your hockey career?
I'd have to say my parents, just because without them I wouldn't have been able to do any of this or driving to tournaments or anything, so I think they've always been there along the way too.
Tell us about being recruited and how you ended up at Northeastern.
Well, my recruiting was kind of interesting. I only had a few options, and Coach Lynn saw me at Team Ontario and when I played for them, and so it was a really late recruit. I think it was like December before I came here. And so I didn't even know Coach Flint or anything, but I just came for the visit, met with Coach Lynn and Coach Mac at the time, and instantly fell in love. I was like, this is where I want to be. So.
Talk a little bit more about the coaching staff and what it's like playing for Coach Flint.
For Coach Flint, it's good. It's definitely nothing I've experienced from coaches before. He's a lot different. It took a while to kind of get to know his coaching styles, but I think it really helps having the assistant coaches specialize in forwards and defense, because then you get more feedback that way and everything.
As a junior captain, what kind of leadership role do you bring to the team?
I try to lead by example, just by doing the little things, being on time. I don't really try to go out of my way, or I'm not that very noisy person in the locker room or anything. I just kind of say what I need to say, and that's it.
Talk a little bit about your experience at the 2008 Winter Games with Team Ontario.
Well, that was a big experience for me. It was my first kind of big tournament, and essentially led me to where I am here at Northeastern. And being the first, and I was on Team Ontario Blue and not Red, so even medaling for Team Ontario Blue was like a huge accomplishment for the organization. So it was a very cool experience.
Since being at Northeastern, what's been your most memorable hockey moment?
Oh, the bean pots for sure. Just winning the bean pot the first time and then doing it again this year, it's nothing else is that like that feeling at all.
Talk a little bit about a little more about winning 2 bean pots in a row.
Well, the first bean pot, it was in overtime, so it was a lot more suspenseful, and coming into those last seconds before winning was a lot different. But then this year, just being the underdogs and being like, we can do this, this is our chance. And then being ahead on BC in the last minutes, it's just like, oh, are we actually going to pull this off? And it was just 2 different feelings for the same feeling in the end, which I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
What are your team's keys to continued success for the remainder of the season and into the playoffs?
I think beating these teams has definitely given us a lot of confidence. That, and we really played as a team in the Beanpot tournament. This is the first time this year I think we've had all 24 players going and playing together and not individualized. We want somebody else to do well, somebody else to make a great save. I think that really brings a win for us.
Who do you consider Northeastern's biggest rival on the East?
Oh, I'm going to say BU, just because we hate them so much. I don't know, it's just, I think they're closest to us. I would just say, even from freshmen, it carries on from the seniors that were long gone past me, and they've just always hated BU, so I think that's where it comes from.
Do you have friends playing on other hockey teams?
I have a sister that plays in Maine, so I don't really have that many other friends in Hockey East. A lot of ECAC players, but just my sister in Maine.
Talk about your pregame routines and any pregame superstitions.
I don't really have too many pregame superstitions or anything. It's just the simple: get here 2.5 hours before the game, tape my stick, do my rehab, and then kind of just hang out until warm up.
How do you manage both hockey and school?
It's difficult. I think it takes a lot of organization. So for me, what helps is just always having my planner and knowing what's laid out for the week, when we have games, when we're on the road, to even be able to tell your professors if you're going to be missing class. So I think just a lot of organization helps.
What do you like to do in your free time?
In my free time, I like to watch TV. I have a few TV shows that I watch. That, and I tutor, so that kind of fills up time.
What are your career plans after
It's kind of complicated, actually. I hope to get my grad. Well, I'm going to do my master's in accounting first. Don't know here if in Canada, but then I hope to go to Canada, be an accountant for a few years, and then essentially I want to go back to school and get my PhD. So.
What advice can you give to young players who strive to play college?
I think the biggest thing is never to give up. I think in my situation especially, I thought I wasn't going to be able to play NCAA just because it was so late, but then just making Team Ontario, and all of a sudden that changed the whole thing around. And even though it was late in the season, I think you just have to remember that there's always somebody going to be watching you, and so every game just make it count, play your hardest.